I've never done Outward Bound or even done overnight camping anytime since I was a child, and that ended quickly the night the bears were rifling through the garbage next to our tent and my mom decided camping wasn't for her anymore. I have, however, been known to spend a few minutes too many lingering over what I guess I would call the gadgets that are in that one section of REI or outdoor stores, you know, the things that I think Eagle Scouts and long-distance backpackers stick in their bags, all the wilderness hacks. My favorite are these little tin boxes that have these tiny, special fire-starting pellets. If and when the world falls apart, I don't want to live in a bunker under the ground. That isn't survival. That's worth it to me. But if I have to wander and survive in the great outdoors, making a fire, it seems to me, is one of those skills that will come in handy, so I should get to learning it. And meanwhile, I don't even have a fireplace to practice in. There is an art to starting a fire, I'm told. The wood has to be dry, not recently cut. It helps if it's been seasoned by the elements. And I know you need faster burning, dry grass or paper, anything worthy of being called kindling. Something easier to catch fire, to give the logs or larger branches time to join in the fun. And you have to watch the fire, adding more wood or fuel to keep it alive for as long as you need or want it to burn. We call it tending the fire. It's a great word. At night, you need fire watchers, flame keepers. They keep it burning, but also within bounds so others can sleep safely. Judy Sorum Brown, a poet and a student of leadership, has a poem about another aspect of helping the flames catch hold. In her poem, Fire, she writes, "What makes a fire burn is the space between the logs, a breathing space. Too much of a good thing, too many logs packed in too tight can douse the flames, almost as surely as a pail of water would. So building fires requires attention to the spaces in between as much as to the wood. When we are able to build open spaces in the same way we have learned to pile on the logs, then we can come to see how it is fuel and the absence of fuel together that make fire possible. We need only to lay a log lightly from time to time. A fire grows simply because there is space with openings in which the flame that knows just how it wants to burn can find its way. Just like Lebanese Christian Khalil Gibran famously said of marriage, and who knew the rules applied to fire making too, let there be space in your togetherness. So, to have a fire, you need the gift of those who know how to set the necessary conditions. You need a match that can be shielded from the wind and the rain, something explosive, even if it is small, that passes in and out of the world quickly, something that says in visible, tangible form that fire is possible in this moment. You need kindling, those things that are ready to risk their lives on the promise that they might ignite something larger, things that catch fire quickly and burn fast and pass away, but get the party started. Thank you, Thomas Starr King. He was one of those, right? You need the logs that burn for a while, offering steady warmth and light that build stability. Thank you, Judy Payne. And you need others who come along to offer themselves in turn as newer fuel to feed this larger venture that is now starting to understand it can last generations. So one comes after the other, a lifetime of people, of fuel burning in generous surrender. And as the poet named, we need space between things where air and exchange can move, not too closed a system, the kind that stifles and suffocates aliveness. But we also clearly need everything close enough, too, that one part can feed and reinforce the other. A new log has to lay close enough to another one long enough that it catches fire. And fire needs boundaries, so it does what it's intended to diffuse, and it spreads its power out. It's too easy to put out. Raging, it can kill. Think of what were those called? Crusades. Each element in this world, everything can be a fire, can be a gift and a curse, and fire is among them. Fire that warms the camper and cooks a meal and melts ice to water can, after all, also burn arms and houses and old-growth forests. And also, let's name that eventually most fires have served their purpose and either die down and grow cold, ashes to ashes and dust to dust, like everything else, human and natural, or they're put out by those who started them to move on to the next adventure. Humans, since Prometheus dared to climb the mountain and steal it from the gods, have been, among other things, the keeper of the fires. We here are keepers of a fire. In case you didn't already catch the metaphor, community and religious community and any other place where there's common purpose and life is a kind of fire, right, with all those elements. And here, maybe even subconsciously, we've known that for a long time because we literally light a fire every week, a flaming chalice, drawing the metaphor of fire as we open the service, the light of truth that shows us the way in the darkest times, even just far enough ahead to take the next step, and the warmth of love that holds us to one another through the great celebrations of life and the faceplant stumbles and the heartbreaking moments and the fire of commitment to be in it together, come what may. Do what we can. Serve with love. It's the flame that travels from heart to heart and then out into the world, we hope. Each of us carriers of it, we say as we leave together each week and we extinguish our chalice. Keepers of it in one another and for one another and together in the world. It's good to remember the sacredness and power of what it means to be keepers of the flame. Here. We must use it with care and courage and understand what we are a part of. The truth is, this power of flames leaps from one committed life to another. And this is our central purpose and hope in some ways. Let me tell a story. Years ago, when I served in New Jersey, we, like every state around the country, were in a fight for marriage equality. State by state at that time, we were organizing and arguing and hosting town hall meetings with data and personal testimony. Did people know that over 1,000 legal protections went to straight couples when the marriage license was signed, but not to couples who were same-sex? Did they know the stories of what vulnerabilities and hardships that meant? I knew one couple that had been together 30 years, a nurse and a teacher, both serving in the world, where one partner had to work through stage 4 breast cancer treatment to keep her medical insurance because she could not get on her wife's. So to break through to people's understanding hearts, we hosted town halls at our UU church in Summit, New Jersey, and one of those was with families. It was this gathering of gay and lesbian parents and their kids, a place where we invited the press and a moment where the press and other attendees could see the families that marriage equality would make legal, hear their stories, feel their pain, and as you might imagine, these were gorgeous families. They were the backbone of any beautiful community, sweet and funny and adoring and devoted. I still remember one hilarious moment. One woman, a mother of 2, standing with her wife of decades, said, "I don't understand why people care what I do in my bedroom with my spouse. If they asked me, I would tell them. At the end of a long day of working and taking care of 2 kids, what I do is what you do. I go to sleep. I'm exhausted." Everyone in the suburban sanctuary erupted in laughter. We were in this big venture of life, of being human and being in relationship and tending to young lives and juggling it all together. Couldn't we make it easier, more humane for one another? Why was that so hard? And the church folks, like here, like this community, showed up at protests too, at state courthouses. We went to Trenton. One time it was summer in 2013, and I was going to drop my 7-year-old daughter off at a camp in the morning, a little earlier than usual, I told her, because then I needed to get to the protest on time. She asked about the gathering. I explained what it was about, and then she said, "Can I go?" "Are you sure?" I asked. It would mean that she'd miss a day of camp, a horseback riding camp that lasted only 5 days that she had argued for. A long drive from home, expensive, coveted days. She nodded, and I agreed. Next, she joined me at the kitchen table as I made a sign and asked if she could make one too. The sign she would make, the first one had marriage spelled wrong, and I wish I hadn't pointed it out, because the minute I did, she wouldn't use that sign anymore, but it was so much better when marriage was misspelled. I still have a photo of that one. I still have a photo of the one that she finished, and of her standing, holding it, on bright orange paper, written in marker, surrounded by so much gold glitter that even the blingiest drag queen would have loved it. Months later, I would bring that photo that I just shared with you of Lila holding the sign to a meeting with a local congressional representative who was not supportive of marriage equality. I would tell her the story. Others who joined me would also bring their photos and share stories to share. She handed their photos back to them. But for some reason, she kept the one with my kid on it to the side. Big smile, empty spaces between Lila's teeth, where a tooth had fallen out, proud and joyful and sure that this was better than a day of horseback riding. More important, even this kid of straight parents who had all the 1,000+ rights we were fighting for others to have. We would win marriage equality in New Jersey. And before he headed out to his next assigned state, a national organizer who had been sent to New Jersey to help us fight the fight would come to see me one last time. "You know," he said, "Union County flipped the state." And then he said, "And Summit flipped Union County. Thanks for all you did, you and your church. It made a difference." Maybe what made the difference, just maybe, that year, that fight, was the match lit by Unitarian Universalist values. toothless and joyful and sure, all dressed up with sparkles written in marker, a simple message of love and clarity, kids for marriage equality, passed across the desk to catch the kindling, dry and ready, that was waiting in the heart of a resistant state representative to burn. Maybe igniting the fire of commitment happens that way. Actually, I think it always does in some version of that story. We send our sparks out into the world to each other, and we never know, but we trust that they will sometimes take. So you and I, we keep taking our fire out into the world. We strike our match, whatever power we have to offer to that day. We lay our lives down when we can, gently on larger fires to keep them alive for all who will come to see and gather around like we have. And what it looks like is what it looks like in this gathering. We sing and we celebrate. We invite speakers and we learn so we're wiser and better informed. We hang our banners. We rally on the steps. Have you ever tried to drive out of our parking lot? Some days you can't turn the corner because the protest signs are having babies faster than rabbits in springtime. We say the names of those that we'd rather the world not forget, so that we don't comply with the amnesia of what love and justice asks us to pay attention to, so that we remember that we are one big, beautiful human family. And at each time of the year, around now, around March, we ask, to some degree, we ask the existential question of this institution: is it time to put out the fire or tend to it with all the generosity and abandon we can muster? For 175 years, the people of this community have been answering, "Stoke the fires." And a significant amount of money from that $2 million budget that Judy talked about comes from endowments carefully tended that were left by people who wanted the fires to burn long beyond them. Bless their memory. And rental income is some, though we keep the rates low so lots of community groups can gather who share our values and serve to tend flames we also find precious and important in the world. And not an insignificant amount of money, $825,000 comes from us, just us. We aren't big, my friends, but we are mighty. All jokes about liberals and our weakness and irrelevance aside, we need a vision of community that is relevant and future-facing, Mia Birdsong writes. And when we have one, we breathe life into it with our own. A fire grows, the poet writes, simply because the space is there with openings in it. The flame that knows just how it wants to burn will find its way. And when it does, when we do, the kindling of this world catches fire, and we light up the darkest places in this world. So may we ignite and stoke the flames of commitment for another year, the light of truth, the warmth of love, the fire of what we make possible in this world. And may that flame burn bright in us, here, and stretch well beyond this gathered body's presence. Amen.